it's Javier. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down my complete A to Z cold calling script, and let's dive right into it. Alright, so pretty much this is my A to Z cold call script. So if you're learning how to cold call or you're new to outbound sales, this pretty much is going to tell you the ins and out of what you really need to learn. And the core of the script is pretty much just a gong opener, so pretty much just saying her name was tossed around because it catches them off guard, and then actually introducing yourself. So the main goal is just your call stops feeling like a cold call because you actually lead with context. So instead of sounding like a random salesperson asking for money up front, you sound like someone familiar, someone who's actually works in their niche, and that small shift changes everything. So pretty much just breaking down the gong opener. So it actually has the highest success rate in cold calling, which is actually quite impressive because the main thing is that you only have 5 seconds to really just get someone's time before they actually hang up. So one, making sure to lead with context. So we work with a few roofing companies around North Dallas. This actually creates familiarity because you're targeting and you're actually mentioning places that are in the actual service or the actual area that they offer services to, and it drops their guard, so you don't seem like you're a stranger anymore. You're actually sounding like someone who works with people like them. So to introducing yourself after, so of course my name is Javier, so I'll just say, oh sorry, it's Javier, because they honestly won't know who I am after saying heard our name was tossed around, right? So you actually sound human, natural, and you actually sound like you're not trying to pitch them anything over the phone. And then number three, of course, asking the heard our name was tossed around. It pretty much just makes them more curious because they're obviously going to say probably not. And then that opens the door for you to continue without any resistance. So the beauty of this opener is that it doesn't really feel scripted. It feels conversational, and that's what makes it work. So pretty much the full opening script and how you should sound when you're actually on the phone talking to these people is that you should pay attention to the pauses and the flow of the conversation, right? So for example, I would just be like, hey John, and then pause, right? So we work with a few roofing companies around North Dallas, and our name gets tossed around a bit. So they're also gonna be like, they're gonna wonder who it is, right? So they're gonna say, yeah, who's this? I'll say it's Javier, and then they'll say, okay, who is this, right? So I would ask them again, have you heard of us at all, or probably not? So they're gonna say, no, I don't think so, and I'll just be like, yeah, I figured. So if it feels relaxed in the way, because you're not trying to like sell them anything over the phone. You're not trying to be like, hey, yeah, I'll get you 20, 30 roofing estimates, 20, 30 appointments in the next week or two. Like they're obviously gonna, like, it sounds too much of a pitch, like you're trying to sell it to them directly off the jump, right? So you're letting the conversation breathe and then actually transitioning into the problem that you want to pinpoint. So when you identify the problem, pretty much now that you've actually like opened the door, you need to show them that you understand the bottlenecks that they're facing in their business. So you do this by naming their pain points. So before they even say the pain points, you need to make sure that you're pointing out these three things, which are leads not answering because homeowners request estimates but they never pick up when you call back. So that's easily money that's slipping, or easily money that they're actually losing behind. They need consistent follow-up. So like the owners are busy doing their own jobs, and leads just sit there for hours or days unanswered. And then by the time that they do call back, they've already called your competitor or their competitor. And then three, having an inconsistent calendar. Some weeks your estimate calendar is pretty much packed. Other weeks it's dead. So no predictability, no consistency, and that's the main thing that you want to focus on, is making sure that you can deliver them a certain or a set amount of estimates, leads, or appointments every single week, so that they actually know that you are bringing a lot of value. So pretty much in a way that the conversation would flow is that a lot of the roofers we work with dealt with the same issues: leads not answering, slow follow-ups, estimate calendars being really inconsistent. And then they would obviously it would speak to them because that's a problem that they're probably having as well. So just going by telling them and saying that we built a system that actually follows up instantly, qualifies the lead, and books the system or books the estimate straight onto your calendar. So they wouldn't have to do a single thing at all. They wouldn't have to call the lead. They wouldn't have to email or whatever, reach out to them. There's an AI and everything that I will break down in the next video that goes completely in depth on how everything would just be automated for them. So all they need to do is just check their calendar. So when they say, yeah, that sounds familiar, you know you've hit a nerve, because that's your green light to keep going, because you're obviously hitting their pain points. So the discovery question, the main thing that matters the most in the entire call, like the main question that gets the prospect to sell themselves on what you're offering, is just by asking them, so if someone was able to handle all your follow-ups and kept your estimate schedule full every single week, would that actually help your business or not really? And at the end of the day, like, it's a no-brainer, because who wouldn't want their estimates full, right? Like, a roofing job is over 5,000, and if they're getting, let's say, for example, 10 estimates every week, and they do a roofing job, you've pretty much brought them like 50K that week alone. So of course that would help them, right? So main reason why it works is because you're not telling them what they need. You're asking them to imagine the outcome and decide if it's actually valuable to them. And when they say yes, they're mentally buying in what your value or what your value is. So the setup, notice or not really at the end, it gives them the permission to really say no, which paradoxically, or which allows them to more likely have a better chance of saying yes. And after that, they would say, of course, that it would help. Don't try to like oversell them, because at the end of the day, they receive a whole bunch of these calls every single day. You need to make sure that you're actually standing out. So just acknowledge it and move straight into the close, because you've already got them interested. So don't talk too much over the phone. So the close is, you're not asking them to buy anything. You're not asking them to commit. You're just asking for their email and putting a meeting on their calendar. So just keep it low pressure. Don't try to bombard them with anything. So you're just going to go ahead and just tell them that you're not asking them to sign anything up front. Just want to show you how it works. And then obviously asking for their email so that you can get them on a Zoom meeting or a Google Meet and actually close the client on the call. So the key phrase pretty much is just throwing the time on the calendar, just because you're assuming the sale. You're not asking if you can schedule something. You need to be more confident when you're actually moving with this, because they'll have other things to do, right? So pretty much just picking a time and just giving them an easy way out. If it works, accept it. If not, just move it. So pretty much just tell them, okay, Wednesday at 6 p.m. we can jump on a quick call and I'll go over everything in depth. If they say no, maybe we could do Wednesday at 8 or Thursday at 9 or whatever. Just go with that. So in a way, they actually don't feel pressured. They feel like they're in control, and that's exactly where you want them. So objections, the main objections are, they would probably say that they already do work with somebody, or they already do in-house marketing and a whole bunch of shit. But the most common objection that you'll hear is, most beginners panic when they hear, oh, I'm already working with someone. Like, it happened to me in the beginning. When I heard that, I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's not worth my time anymore. But it's actually an opportunity. So if they do say they already have somebody doing this, you can actually tell them that, yeah, most of the people we already work with had someone too. So you could go ahead and ask them if they actually keep their estimate calendar full every week, or is it kind of hit or miss. So they might say yes, it's inconsistent. They might say no, it's actually consistent, but they're just saying that because you don't want them, or they don't want you like selling them anything. So in a way, you just have to like acknowledge what they're doing already and just offering them more value, because the easiest way to close them or just get them more interested, you're not replacing what they currently have going on, you're just adding more value to what they're already doing. So if they just say just send an email, they're trying to get you off the phone without saying no. I'm not gonna lie. But you can turn it into a yes if you do handle it the right way. So you can send them an email just so you don't waste their time. What do you want to see? How it works, the system, pricing, results. What's the most important thing to you, right? So they would usually just say one of the options that you pretty much just told them. So if they ask you to send them pricing, send a pricing plus book a follow-up call to explain the actual system. If you want, if they ask you like how it works, just send them a video and a calendar link. And then if they ask for results, you send case studies plus a quick call. But you're most likely going to be a beginner, so you don't have case studies yet. I don't recommend going and faking it, but at the end of the day, do what you really need to do, but just don't fake it to the point where you're mentioning actual business names. Just keep it anonymous, right? So once you actually do sign them and you get the results, you can use that as leverage to sign other clients. So the key is you're not just saying okay and hanging up, you're getting them to actually tell you what they care about, and once they answer, you've turned what they try to like push you away into actual engagement. So if they say we're too busy or not interested, it sounds like they're trying to close the deal off early and they actually don't need the services, but they're actually openings if you know how to respond the right way, right? So here's how to handle both. So if they say we're too busy, you could say that, yeah, I understand that your service, which could be roofing or depending on the niche that you're reaching out to, is actually pretty crazy. When you say busy, do you mean production is full or your estimate calendar is full? So they'll usually admit that the estimate calendar isn't full, which is your easiest way to actually pitch them and just tell them that, okay, yeah, this is exactly why we should talk. Keeping that estimate calendar full is exactly what we do, because they have a family to feed. I'm not gonna lie, like they have bills. You want to make sure that you're bringing them more money, which is what they need at the end of the day. If they say not interested, right, you could just go ahead and ask them what they're currently doing to keep their estimate calendar full or get more appointments. In a way, it kind of like forces them to think on what they actually do need. So most don't have like an answer that they could really just tell you. Once they admit that they don't have a system, that's your easiest way to just offer them that system, right? So in a way, you don't want to fight the objection. You just want to acknowledge it and then just ask them a question on what makes them realize they actually do have the problem that you're trying to solve, right? So in a way, so how to adapt this script to any niche. Pretty much you just want to replace the niche just because it's general. So just use this as like a guideline for whichever niche that you're really just trying to work with, whether it's car detailers, HVAC companies, roofers, whatever it might be. Replace the location, of course, right, with the target city or the city that they're in. Replace the action. So with roofers, it's going to be estimates. HVAC is probably going to be estimates as well. Just go with estimates, or you can use appointments just to make it easier for them to actually understand, right? And replace the customer. So with the roofers, it's going to be homeowners. Car detailers probably going to be like car owners, right? So whichever niche you actually do end up going with, just make sure to replace it with the specific type of client that they're looking for. So if you want me to send you this doc or an actual full breakdown how you can adapt it to when you are cold calling people, just comment down below. And if you want more breakdowns, feel free to let me know, and I will be making another video talking about how to actually find these cold calling leads as well.